Hey everyone, it's Waddy's here today, and I want to talk to you about my personal wish list for the Call of Duty Black Ops 3 Zombies mode. Now, I'm a really big fan of zombies, and I don't think there's been too many missteps throughout their time with the franchise. Except Transit. But, there can still be varying degrees of good, and so I want to analyze what Zombies has, what it's had throughout its past, and what it could have throughout its future. So here is my personal Call of Duty Black Ops 3 Zombies wish list. Alright. So the most important thing that I think Black Ops 3 Zombies can do is just not try and innovate too hard. See, I really love the core of Zombies, and while there have been some great additions like PhD Flopper or the buildables, they need to be done right and they need to have the proper time to implement them properly. Now, I really like to pick on Transit for this one because Transit really felt unfinished. It had a lot of these grand ideas, but none of them really ever came through very well. And the thing is that there were some good ideas in there, and good ideas that were used in later maps, but they weren't just quite ready yet. Additions need to be meaningful and impact the gameplay without changing the core gameplay, which is why I really like to point to something like PhD Flopper. It's really fun to use, and you get to Dolphin Dive into a horde, and it's really fun, but you didn't really alter the core game. The core game is still there, you just have a really fun additional tool to use. And that actually segues really well into the second thing that I really want, and that is Dolphin Diving with PhD Flopper, because first of all, Dolphin Diving is just awesome, and second of all, PhD Flopper is like the funnest perk ever. You can Dolphin Dive into a horde of zombies and explode. It just doesn't get more fun than that. It's just pure greatness. But I'm worried they're not going to go with this for a couple reasons. The first being that they have their super sliding mechanic, which I understand from the multiplayer perspective, where they want to, chain a slide into a wall run into a double boost or whatever. But in Zombies, it really looks like they've gone with the classic sort of movement style, but we already saw sliding in the trailer, and that sort of concerns me when it comes to Dolphin Diving coming back, and thus Dolphin Diving with PhD Flopper. The second thing that really concerns me is that they really tried to remove PhD Flopper in Black Ops 2 to the point where you could only get it in 2 of the maps through somewhat difficult fashion. One of them was Origins and the random perk machine, and the other was Buried, where it came back as a sort of hidden perma-perk type of thing. And some of the logic behind this was that there was an argument that PhD Flopper was a little overpowered, especially when you pack a punch your opening pistols and you got 2 explosive pistols, you can just shoot them at your feet, never take explosive damage, and kill zombies really, really quickly. But I never really found it that much of a problem myself, first of all because I felt that the fun that was added to the game really offset the difficulty that it might have taken away. And the second thing was that you don't get a ton of ammo in the opening pistols. You can really, blow it through quickly, especially in the later rounds. It just doesn't really last that long because a lot of the zombies can take multiple shots from it. They'll just be turned into a crawler initially or something. And the third thing is that in the leaked PC Black Ops 3 files from the beta, people found a lot of references to their new gumball machine system, which is basically like temporary perks that'll last a couple rounds. And one of them is called Danger Close, which lasts for 3 rounds, and it says that there is 0 explosive damage to you in that time. And that was one of the big things behind PhD Flopper, is that as much as you could Dolphin Dive into a horde of zombies and explode, you could also prevent explosive damage while you had it, which is one of its really big benefits when it came to Mustang and Sally being so popular. But I really hope I'm wrong, or at least I really hope that in the future they go and reevaluate this and maybe consider adding Dolphin Diving and PhD Flopper back, because it really is fun and it really is a popular thing around the community. I personally do think that it's a mistake removing it, just as it was a mistake removing it in the first couple maps of Black Ops 2. The third thing I really want is more reward or more fun out of high rounds. And this is to say that there's a point in Zombies, I mean, you're seeing it on the gameplay here on 5, where there's a point where you're pretty much just training and doing the same thing end on end and end, and it's never really going to change for the rest of the game. It'll just get slightly longer and slightly longer every single time, and as such, I want a little bit more reward for getting to the high rounds, or more to do, or more quick ways to kill the zombies, because there's a point where it's just like, oh, I've been stuck on X and X round for like an hour, and this just isn't fun anymore. So it'd be nice on the later rounds if they can introduce some faster way to kill the zombies, be it multiple pack-a-punches, some really expensive trap, a really, really good wonder weapon, just something like that to make the higher rounds go a little quicker and make it become less tedious as often as it can be. Another thing on my wish list is reduced randomness. Now, this hasn't been too much of a problem throughout the franchise, and generally when it is there, it doesn't really bother me that much. But in Nuketown Zombies in particular, the perks machines will spawn at random in random locations. And on Shino Numa, when you open a door, it'll randomly spawn the perk machine there. And I'm just more of a fan of just consistent perk machine locations, so it always creates a constant experience for every game that you're in. Another thing on my wish list I thankfully haven't had to worry about since World at War, and that's zombie grab. So, a lot of the times when you'd be running around or training the zombies or whatever and they'd hit you, sometimes you get this, it felt like a hit stun, like a really, really excessive hit stun, because you'd pretty much stop moving completely, and it was kind of like the zombie was grabbing you and holding you in position. And so it wouldn't matter sometimes if there was a giant horde, you just wouldn't be able to escape at all. One hit and you're just completely done. And while it's an interesting idea because it definitely makes things harder, I didn't find it an overly consistent mechanic, and I didn't find that it was an overly intuitive mechanic at the time especially. So I like it a lot more when it's just, oh, 2 hits without jug and you're dead, or 5 hits with jug and you're dead, not, oh, sometimes it's 5 hits with jug and you're dead, but other times you'll just get grabbed and it won't matter. The last thing I want to bring up is good wall guns in good areas, and this is to say that using a wall gun is viable, and you can kind of loop around an area with it should you choose. Again, this was kind of a problem with Transit, where it's like, oh, the AK-74U is really good, too bad it's in the worst possible location you could put it. And then Die Rise had a thing where it never wanted you to loop an area, it wanted you to loop the entire map if you were using a wall gun. So you grab the AN-94, and right below it was the best training spot, but you can't get back up to the AN-94. And I like it a lot more when the wall guns are just in sort of viable positions. I can pick them up and do whatever I want with them, Doris was really good for it. It had the Thompson in that one room, and you could loop that really well. It's where actually the most zombies spawned, I believe. And the Teleporter C area had the STG-44, which was really good for map loops, going to Teleporter C and then teleporting out, or it was also good for just looping that general area just outside or even inside the building. Anyway, that's all for the video, everyone. Be sure to leave your own personal zombies wish list in the comment section below, and if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. I'm Waddies, and I'll see you in-game.